Hello everyone, welcome to the Basics of Bugs Day 3. Today's lesson plan is on why we should collect insects. My name is Christian and I'll be the lecturer for today. Our moderators are Madison, Autumn, Lewis, and John. So if you have a question, you can direct it towards them in the chat. So just to recap what we learned so far, we learned what is a bug and what is an insect and how are insects different from bugs. Learn about insect safety, basically just where you shouldn't collect, such as in plants that can make you itch, or collecting insects that can hurt you, such as bees, ants, wasps. We also learned how to collect, such as using a killing jar, a rearing jar, or different traps, which we learned yesterday. So first reason why we collect insects is to learn how to identify species. You can see here you have some different moths and butterflies, some beetles, some tree bugs. Basically, you collect insects to figure out what they belong to, like order or family. Another reason we collect insects is to learn about insect biodiversity. Biodiversity is the variety of living things in a location, and that includes plants, animals, fungi, whatever is living. Here in the ocean, you can see we have some different fish and some coral. So that is all biodiversity within that location. Insect biodiversity is the variety of insects in a location. If you go out to your backyard, you'll find some different insects. So that all contributes to biodiversity. Insect labels are very important for collecting. You should always record the location and the date. And here's an example. We have a grasshopper, and on top we have the label with collection information, which I mentioned earlier, which is basically your location and the date and your name. And on the bottom, which you learned about on Friday from Chelsea, you will always have the order of the insect and family. So here's a little activity you can participate in just on the chat. Where do you think you will find more species of insects if you put out a trap and let it sit there for a day, whether it's in a rainforest or in a cave? So if you thought rainforest, you are absolutely correct. Only certain insects can live in caves, as caves have limited resources and food for insects. But tropical rainforests have greater insect biodiversity because they have more resources and food for insects. So we can really understand what types of environments support biodiversity of insects by collecting insects. You may be surprised how many insects are living in your backyard. And from collecting insects, we can really help better understand the world around us. So another reason we collect insects is to discover new species. 15,000 to 18,000 new species are discovered each year. And as you learned the other day, insects are some of the most numerous animals on the planet. So it's not surprising that half of the new species described each year are insects. And here you can see a swallowtail butterfly that was recently discovered in Fiji. So we also collect insects to discover an old insect in a new area. By this, we mean invasive species. Here we have a spotted lanternfly, which is an invasive insect from Asia that was found in Pennsylvania in 2014. It can cause damage to trees and grapes. In the northeastern United States, if a spotted lanternfly is seen or collected, especially in an area that hasn't been seen before, it has to be reported immediately. We also collect insects to discover an old insect at a new time of year, basically seeing how climate has affected insects. So say you and your friends went down to the creek last year and saw some dragonflies around the creek around April, but this year in March you found the same insects earlier. So basically you're just seeing how climate has affected insects. So sometimes we also collect only certain groups of insects. One example of this is the EPT index, which stands for Ephemeroptera, Plecoptera, and Trichoptera, which are your mayflies, stoneflies, and caddisflies. So basically, this EPT index is a bunch of stream-dwelling insect larvae. These insects are not tolerant to water pollution. So basically, by observing the larvae present in the body of water, it can tell you how clean the water is if it's safe to drink. So if you see a lot of these insects in a stream in your neighborhood, you can probably tell that the water is pretty clean. We also collect certain types of insects in forensic entomology, especially flies. Basically, if there is a certain fly and its larva is present, from that you can tell how long a body has been there. Pretty morbid, but it's very important for forensic entomologists. And sometimes we only collect one type of insect or one species. One example of this is the emerald ash borer, which is an invasive species from Asia. It has killed up to 40 million ash trees in the United States alone, and young ash trees are especially susceptible to infestations by this beetle. Although it's very beautiful, it has caused a lot of damage in the United States. This pest has been found throughout the United States now, but mainly in the Midwestern and eastern parts of the United States. And not only has this pest impacted the environment, it has also impacted the economy of the United States. So to combat this beetle, arborists and entomologists will set up traps, which Autumn talked about yesterday, and they use a lure to attract the beetles to this trap, and they will get in there and get stuck. And basically from there, if an arborist or entomologist finds a beetle in their trap that has not been recorded in that location, they can successfully implement a control program to control the beetle in that area and prevent its spread throughout that area. So another really cool part of collecting insects is citizen science, which is basically just scientific research conducted by anybody, non-professionals, students, kids even. So one really cool citizen science program is a mitathon, which is something I'm familiar with. Basically, beekeepers just go out to their bee yards and sample their colonies for mites. If there are mites present, they report their findings to a website called pollinator.org. Another really cool citizen science project which anybody can do is a Lost Ladybug project. So Asian lady beetles have invaded the United States, and they have caused a lot of damage and displaced a lot of the native ladybugs. So now this Lost Ladybug project encourages people to go out into their backyard and take pictures of the ladybugs they find and upload it to their webpage with basic collection information which you would learn about on Friday from Chelsea. If you ever seen ladybugs in your house, it is probably these ladybugs. So another really cool thing to do is collect insects with photographs. As you learned yesterday from Autumn, you don't always have to kill insects to collect them. So thanks to modern technology, apps like iNaturalist have come up, and I'm going to show you what iNaturalist is real quick. So here is the homepage for iNaturalist. Just to give a little background, if you upload a picture of something you don't know, somebody else can identify it for you. So here I uploaded a picture of a white clover I found in my backyard, and because it got a species level designation right here, it is considered research grade. Another really cool thing you do in iNaturalist is go to Explore, and basically you can look at where people are finding stuff all over the world. So say you want to look in Alabama, it takes you right to Alabama, and if you want to look for a particular species, like a honeybee, you can see where people have found them throughout Alabama. So another really cool thing about iNaturalist is that they often put on programs called BioBlitz, which allows anybody to participate in an activity, and this can be anywhere in the United States. And what happens is people come together for one common goal, which is to find and photograph species. And if you find a species that is new to an area or threatened or endangered, scientists can better understand how to either control or protect that species. And as I mentioned, for BioBlitz, there are programs all over the United States, such as the Birmingham, UK versus Birmingham, Alabama City Nature Challenge. And there's also one in Auburn that I'll show you real quick. So here is the Auburn Opelika Biodiversity Survey. Basically, they just encourage people to go out and look for different animals, plants, whatever. So here you can see some katydid, some different plants and animals. So go out to iNaturalist and see what projects are local to your area and participate in that. So to recap what we've gone over today, we learned why collecting is important. It was basically you learn how to identify insects, measure biodiversity, or whatever. We also learned how collecting both a wide variety and just one species is beneficial. A wide variety you can measure biodiversity in your area, or just one species you can tell the spread of an invasive species. We also learned how using iNaturalist helps researchers. You can post pictures that they can look at and see if the spread of a species or what is prevalent in an area. You also learned that you could be a scientist through citizen science programs and using iNaturalist. So thanks for tuning in, and you can test yourself with Kahoot, and there will be a game pen provided in the chat. In tomorrow's topic, we're going to learn why bugs are important. And don't forget about the best pitfall trap contest. The winner will be announced on Friday during Chelsea's lecture. And just post your pictures to the FSO Rant entomology page on Facebook.
All right, this is Madison, and I'm going to give people just a few more seconds to join our game. So this lesson was mostly conceptual, so you might have to read the questions kind of carefully, and I'll try to read them out loud so you make sure you know exactly what the question is. So just a reminder, you can either go to the Kahoot mobile app and type in the pin, or you can open up a new browser tab at kahoot.it. Give people a few more seconds. All right. So just make sure you kind of read the questions carefully, because some of them are you kind of have to read to make sure you understand. All right, anybody else? Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so who can collect information for scientific research? Scientists only, entomologists only, adults only, or anybody? All right, yes, anybody, absolutely anybody can collect information. You can just take a picture and your picture might end up in somebody's scientific report. All right, great job. Okay, so what is not a good reason to collect bugs? So make sure you read these carefully. So to learn about biodiversity, to detect harmful bugs or bad bugs, to kill insects for fun, or to learn about our environment. So which of these is not a reason to collect bugs? Yep, you got it. Killing insects is not really something you should do for fun, but it really helps us in science. Okay, great job. Okay, so what is biodiversity? So is it the variety of life in a location? Is it the number of people in a city, the number of ladybugs in your backyard, or the variety of non-living things in a location? Biodiversity. Yep, you got it. The variety of life in a location. So that includes like insects, animals, plants, fungus, anything. Great job. Okay, so what can the app iNaturalist or the website iNaturalist not be used for? To help identify living things, to participate in citizen science, to learn about local biodiversity, or to post your funny cat photos? What can iNaturalist not be used for? Yep, that's right. Although a cat is a living thing, it's not something that you would put on iNaturalist. All right. Last question is, what is it called when people who are not professional scientists help collect information for research? Crowdfunding, private science, citizen science, or science education? Yep, citizen science. You guys got it. All right, great job. Right, great job. Congratulations, Focused, Impala, Quick Dove, and Happy Ostrich. All right, great job, guys. All right, do we have any questions about citizen science? You can message a moderator and we will post your question and answer it. Okay, well, we'll be here for a few minutes. So if you do have any questions, just feel free to post it in the chat to one of our moderators. But that's the end of today's lesson if you don't have any questions. But thank you for joining.
Thank you, everybody.